Explore the beauty of Nashville with Jody's Journeys, May 29th through June 2nd. Join Jody Griner, your travel guide, and explore the treasures of Nashville. Contact Jody Griner at 641-660-6417. This tour only holds 50 seats. Demand is high. Secure your spot now. Call Jody's Journeys at 641-660-6417. Again, Jody's Journeys is going to Nashville, May 29th through June 2nd.
Well, good morning. I'm Brent Adams here with your Rural Strong Morning Ag Report for this Monday, March 4th. Leading off the headlines this morning, U.S. Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack told Senate Ag Committee members he's confident the EPA will approve an E15 waiver this summer ahead of the agency's permanent green light for year-round sales starting next year. Iowa's Joni Ernst told Vilsack the state's ethanol and corn producers and fuel retailers are in the dark on E15 sales this summer after the EPA delayed until next year its permanent fix. But Vilsack responded the uncertainty could soon end.
I think it's consistent with the last 2 years when they issued a waiver. I could be wrong about this, Senator. I thought it was in the April timeframe, but whenever it was done last year, I'm pretty sure that they will have the resources and the data necessary to make the decision and have this decision stick.
8 Midwest governors petitioned the EPA for permanent year-round E15 sales, but 2 threatened a lawsuit after the agency dragged out final approval hundreds of days past its statutory deadline. Separately, Vilsack responded to senators' concerns over California's Proposition 12, which restricts sales in the state of products from sows, hens, and calves raised in extreme confinement, even out of the state. The Supreme Court sided with California in a challenge.
I totally understand why Californians would want to regulate what happens within the 4 corners of their state in terms of their own producers, but I don't think the Supreme Court, when it decided that pork producers had a choice to participate in the California market or not, understood the pork market. When you're dealing with 12% of the pork market in one state, there is not a choice between doing business in California and not in California.
Vilsack argued someone must provide national consistency and clarity, or 50 different states could have 50 different standards. But Vilsack cautioned lawmakers that it won't be easy to craft a uniform standard. The American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals was unhappy with Vilsack's remarks on Prop 12. The ASPCA says Vilsack misrepresented the impacts of Prop 12 during the Senate Ag Committee hearing. Kara Shannon, Director of Farm Animal Welfare Policy for ASPCA, said it's alarming to see Secretary Vilsack double down on his inaccurate comments about Proposition 12, furthering industrial animal agriculture's false narrative about the impact of basic laws that spare animals from cruel confinement in cages and crates. 15 states have implemented bans on the extreme confinement of farm animals, representing the will of millions of voters. The group also says Senator Cory Booker's line of questioning during the hearing aptly pointed out that this isn't just an animal welfare issue, it's also a democracy issue. We strongly condemn the Secretary's comments suggesting Congress attempt to undo these critical laws, the ASPCA said. Last week was a big week for Vilsack, who also gave a keynote address at the Commodity Classic in Houston. During his speech, he provided an update on federal efforts to develop modeling and tax credits for sustainable aviation fuel production. More from USDA Radio's Rod Bain.
More time is needed for development of modeling of sustainable aviation fuel feedstocks and tax credits associated with such. But as Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack told an audience at Commodity Classic in Houston Friday,
we're going to take a few more weeks, and I mean weeks, not months, to make sure that the guidance is correct, that it acknowledges the work that's being done in reducing greenhouse gas emissions relative to transportation fuels and the good work that's being done out in the field to embrace climate-smart practices.
The Secretary says the tax credits should involve use by qualifying entities of what is known as the GREET model, the Department of Energy's Greenhouse Gases, Regulated Emissions, and Energy Use and Technologies.
We want to make sure that the latest and best information is utilized in the modeling that will inform the Treasury guidance.
For tax credits available for 2023 and 24, and those to be in place in 2025 and beyond. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
Vilsack also acknowledged the complexity of the U.S. relationship with China, particularly in the context of agriculture and ag trade. Here again is Rod Bain.
It's what Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack called a nuanced, difficult, yet needed conversation when speaking at Commodity Classic in Houston Friday.
About China's role and the importance of the export markets in China. At the same time, making sure that we're protecting our capacity to know who and when land is being purchased by foreign ownership.
Secretary Vilsack acknowledged concerns about foreign investment in U.S. farmland, including by China, and China's own awareness of these concerns. Yet he cautions,
ownership of foreign land by China is relatively small. It's less than 0.1% of the entire landmass of the U.S. There are concerns about the location of where that land might be owned, especially if it is connected to or near a military installation.
He is also aware of China's role as our nation's top ag export market. The Secretary agrees with diversification of exports from reliance on China, yet recognizes China's demand of U.S. farm goods to feed their increasing population. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
Also at Commodity Classic, Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Michael Regan announced that the EPA will soon have an Office of Agriculture and Rural Affairs. Here one final time is Rod Bain.
Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Michael Regan used his Friday visit at Commodity Classic in Houston to announce
an important step that will help solidify EPA's relationship in the agriculture sector for the future,
with the establishment of an EPA Office of Agriculture and Rural Affairs,
to expand engagement opportunities beyond any that we've done so far, and to ensure that your voices are heard and that your ideas are understood.
The administrator announced that his senior advisor for Ag, Rod Snyder, will head the new
office. We will ensure agriculture and rural stakeholders have a continual seat at the table at EPA for many years to come.
Administrator Reagan's announcement coincided with the first ever visit by an incumbent EPA administrator to Commodity Classic, joining Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack for the event. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
And finally this morning, the USDA says the number of U.S. farms has fallen under 2 million for the first time since before the Civil War. The numbers come from the 2022 Census of Agriculture. In 2022, there were 1,900,487 farms in the country, a 7% decline from the level at the 2017 census. A farm is defined as an establishment that produced or sold or would have sold in normal conditions at least $1,000 in agriculture production in a year. The latest census also reported that the total U.S. land and farms declined 2.2% to 880 million acres in 2022. This decline, when combined with the higher proportional decline in the number of farms, meant that the average farm size increased by 5% to 463 acres per farm. The Census of Agriculture, conducted every 5 years by the USDA's National Agricultural Statistics Service, includes producer responses to questions about their farming operations. Well, you can keep up with the latest in the world of agriculture by subscribing to the Tractors and Troubadours podcast from Rural Strong Media. Each week, I bring you agriculture industry newsmakers, hot-button industry issues, educational features, and the best in traditional country music. The Tractors and Troubadours podcast can be found at ruralstrongmedia.com or wherever you get your podcasts. We also invite you to join us daily on Rural Strong Radio, our 24/7 streaming radio station, found at ruralstrongmedia.com or the Live 365 streaming radio app for your mobile device. Each day, we bring you our award-winning agriculture programming, as well as the best in traditional country music, mixed in with a little bluegrass, western swing, southern rock, and inspirational music. Again, the place to find Rural Strong Radio is ruralstrongmedia.com or the Live 365 streaming radio app. We're portable, so take us with you everywhere you go while you're working on the farm or ranch. Let's get through the workday together. Well, I'll be back again tomorrow with another Rural Strong Morning Ag Report here on Steve Shetler Media. Make it a great day, everybody.